I killed my father with a pillow that night, not out of hate, but because his dying confession demanded it, his last breath a plea for mercy from the monster he'd created in secret. The woman I'd trusted as my aunt for 28 years was the mother of my half-brother, a son he'd hidden to protect his empire, and I'd been the scapegoat for his crimes since I was 16. But as his eyes glazed over in that sterile Manhattan hospice room, I felt the swap begin, not a metaphor, but a literal unraveling of souls, courtesy of the black market neural tech he'd peddled to the elite. The same tech that would let me steal back everything he'd stolen from me. It started with the rain hammering the windows like accusations, the kind of November downpour that turns the Upper East Side into a slick, unforgiving maze. Dad, Victor Hale, real estate tycoon, pillar of the community, donor to every charity that kept his name in the papers, lay there hooked to machines beeping like impatient creditors. I'd flown in from Chicago that morning, dreading the call from his lawyers about the will, but nothing prepared me for the rasp in his throat as he grabbed my hand, his grip weak but insistent, like he was passing a poison vial. "Dahlia," he wheezed, eyes darting to the door where Nurse Ratched, real name Carla, hovered with her clipboard. "Not her.
She's
the mother." His words hit like a gut punch from a ghost. "Aunt Lydia? The woman who'd baked me cookies at family barbecues in the Hamptons, who cried at my high school graduation, who I'd confided in about every boy who broke my heart." Victor nodded, or tried to, his head lolling. "Your brother, Elias. My son with her. I hid him to save us all."
"But you
took the fall for him. The accident. The money. Everything. The accident. 16 years old. Prom night. Rain-slicked roads on the FDR Drive. I'd been driving Dad's Bentley, buzzed on stolen champagne, when we plowed into that guardrail. Elias, then just a shadow in the family lore. The cousin's kid who visited once a year was in the passenger seat, high as a kite on whatever trust fund poison he favored. But the cops found my prints on the flask, my DNA on the wheel. Dad's lawyer spun it. Daddy's little girl. Tragic lapse in judgment. Community service. Sealed records. A black mark that derailed my Ivy League dreams and landed me in state college scraping by on loans. Elias? Whisked away to private tutors in Switzerland, groomed for the boardroom. Betrayal didn't cover it. It was a lifetime sentence to a shadow. I wanted to scream, to throttle the truth out of him. But his monitors spiked, alarms blaring like sirens in a heist gone wrong. Carla burst in, jabbing syringes, but Victor waved her off with a final surge of that old hail fire. "The device," he croaked, fumbling for the nightstand drawer. Inside, a sleek black fob, no bigger than a car key, etched with Neuralink prototype, Hale Industries. His empire's dirty secret, consciousness transfer tech, sold under the table to billionaires dodging death.
For you.
Swap with him. End it. Forgive me. Or don't. He flatlined before I could process, his hand going slack in mine. Carla pronounced him at 11:47 p.m., her eyes suspicious as she noted my tear-streaked face. I pocketed the fob, heart pounding like a war drum, and slipped out into the storm. The confession burned. Another son, hidden to protect the family name.
And me,
the dutiful daughter, gagging on his sins. Elias Hale, no. Elias Crow, the alias Dad gave him to keep the bloodline clean, was now CEO of Hale Properties, the golden boy who'd expanded our father's empire into a $1 trillion beast. All while I hustled as a mid-level paralegal in the Windy City, dodging bill collectors and bad dates. By dawn, I'd Ubered to a no-tell motel in Queens. The kind with neon signs flickering vacancy, like a bad omen. The fob's instructions were etched in my brain from Dad's ramblings years ago, whispered warnings during board meetings I'd crashed as a teen. Neural sync, he called it. Pair it with a photo, a DNA sample, and a jolt of electricity from any outlet. Target's mind in your body, yours and theirs. Reversible, if you had the code. I didn't. Elias's face stared back from my phone. Chiseled jaw. Armani suits. That smug grin at the Forbes 30 Under 30 gala last year. I'd emailed him condolences 2 days ago. He'd replied with a curt thanks.
Sis.
Funeral details incoming.
Sis.
The word twisted like a knife now. I pricked my finger on the fob's hidden needle. Smeared blood on his photo. Plugged it into the motel's crusty wall socket. The zap hit like lightning in my veins. Vision blurring to static. Then blackness. And a rush like falling through ice. I woke up choking on silk sheets that smelled of bergamot cologne and regret. Penthouse view of Central Park. Floor-to-ceiling glass reflecting a body that wasn't mine. Broad shoulders. 6-foot frame. The faint scar on the knuckles from that yachting accident in Monaco. Elias. I was in Elias's skin, staring at my own face in the mirror across the room. Pale. Confused. Scrambling up from the king bed in my Chicago Cubs tee I'd worn to the motel. My body, now his, blinked back, mouthing what the fuck, in a voice that was mine but laced with his East Coast drawl. Panic hit. But so did power. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Board meeting at 9 a.m. Merger with a Chinese conglomerate worth billions. Emails from Lydia, Mom now. I guess, cooing about the funeral arrangements. Your father's wishes. Darling. Keep it tasteful. Tasteful. Like burying secrets under marble headstones. I dressed in his walk-in closet. Zegna this. Tom Ford that, feeling the weight of his Rolex like a shackle. My old body, trapped in his penthouse, pounded on the bedroom door until security tossed it, me, into submission. Elias in Dahlia's flesh, calling 911 about a break-in. Cops would come. But by then, I'd be gone. Slipping into his life like a virus. The boardroom at Hale Tower was a Shark Tank. Walnut panels. Crystal decanters of single malt that cost more than my annual rent. I, Elias, strode in late, flashing that trademark grin. And they lapped it up.
Traffic, I lied.
Sinking into the leather throne at the head. The merger docs stared up, kickbacks to offshore accounts. Environmental shortcuts that'd poison the Hudson for generations. Dad's legacy. Amplified. Elias's genius. They called it my prison. But revenge simmered. First move, access his safe. Combination from a hacked email, childhood birthday. Twisted irony.
Inside.
Files on me, Dahlia Hale. The problem child, forged psych evals to justify cutting me out of the will. And photos, Lydia and Victor. Tangled in a Hamptons Beach house. Elias a toddler in the frame. Me nowhere. Deeper, the accident report. Redacted to pin it all on me. Elias's prints scrubbed by private cleaners. I leaked the first drop that afternoon, an anonymous tip to the Post about Hale Properties' questionable labor practices in Queens. Nothing lethal. Just enough to make the stock twitch. Elias, in my body, was ranting to my therapist via Zoom from a holding cell. demanding I be committed. She's lost it.
Doc.
Thinks she's me. The irony burned sweeter than bourbon. Nights blurred into a double life. By day, Elias Hale, charming the pants-off investors at steakhouses in Midtown, closing deals that fattened the empire I'd dismantle from within. By night, hacking his accounts, transfers to charities that funneled cash to whistleblowers, documents shredded in virtual fires. Lydia called daily, her voice honey over venom. Elias. Darling. Dahlias. Unwell. The stress of your father's passing. Unwell. She'd known all along. Coached me through puberty while carrying her lover's, my father's, bastard son. Betrayal stacked like cordwood. One evening, after a gala at the Met where I schmoozed with senators in a tux that hung like guilt, I confronted her.
Penthouse again.
My old body sedated in the guest room. 4 dripped with vitamins from a crooked doc. Lydia arrived in Chanel, pearls gleaming like nooses. Elias? What's this about an urgent family matter? I poured scotch, handed her a glass, watched her sip without suspicion. Tell me about the boy. Mom. The word landed like a slap. Her face cracked, porcelain to fault lines. What boy? But her eyes betrayed her, flicking to the safe's ajar door. The one you had with Dad. The one who got away with everything while I rotted. My voice, his voice, cracked, but I held the fob, thumb on the reset.
Not yet.
She crumpled, spilling scotch like tears. It was a mistake. Victor's weakness. We hid him to protect you. Dahlia, no. Elias. Whatever this is. Confusion. Then horror as realization dawned. The device. Oh God. You swapped. Your. Her. We talked, or I interrogated for hours. Lydia's confessions poured. The affair born in the 90s crash. Elias, a love child meant to be aborted, but kept for leverage. Dad's crimes, the insider trading that built the towers. The bribes that greased zoning boards, pinned on fall guys. Including me for the accident to toughen me up. You were always the strong one, she sobbed. Elias was fragile. Needed protecting. Fragile. The man who'd bullied suppliers into suicide. Who'd betted interns for sport. I left her broken on the Persian rug. The fob's code whispered as a threat. One call. And you're in a psych ward.
Lydia.
Or worse. Power tasted like ash.
But it fueled me.
The revenge blueprint sharpened. Expose Elias's underbelly. The sex tapes buried in servers. The slush funds laundering Russian oligarch money. Controversial? Hell yes, ruining innocence in the crossfire. Employees who'd lose jobs. Charities starved. But justice isn't clean, it's a street fight in the Bowery. Weeks in, the leaks escalated. Wall Street Journal ran, Hale Air's hidden empire, shadows of corruption. Stock plunged 15%. Board whispering coup. Elias, feral in my skin, escaped custody and holed up in a Jersey safe house, posting deranged TikToks as Dahlia unhinged, claiming corporate espionage. The public aided. Hale scandal trended. Memes of me, him, as the villainous vixen. I pushed harder. Controversial calls stacking. Sold off a subsidiary. Pocketing the cash for a slush fund to bail out evicted tenants. Hero move. But it tanked retirements for loyalists. Met with a hacker collective in a Bushwick warehouse. Trading Hale's secrets for dirt on Elias's personal demons. The underage escort ring. The threats to journalists. One decision haunted. greenlighting a smear on Lydia, outing her as the other woman in a tabloid exclusive. She OD'd on Xanax that night, saved by EMTs. But the damage stuck. Society widow, pariah at the country club. Climax brewed at Dad's funeral. St. Patrick's Cathedral packed with hypocrites in black. I stood at the casket as Elias Hale, eulogizing with rehearsed grief, while my body, drugged, compliant, sat in the front pew, eyes vacant. Lydia, bandaged wrists hidden under lace, clutched a rosary like a lifeline. Midway through, as rain lashed the stained glass, I dropped the bomb, mid-speech. I confessed to the congregation, voice booming over the mic. Victor Hale built this on lies. A hidden son, a daughter's stolen life, tech that plays God with souls. Gasps rippled, phones lit up, live streaming the meltdown. Security swarmed, but not before I triggered the FOB's broadcast mode, hacked earlier, a pulse that synced every Neuralink device in the city, dumping user data to WikiLeaks. Billionaire secrets spilled, consciousness swaps for immortality cheats, minds in cloned bodies, identities traded like stocks. Chaos erupted, sirens outside, feds inbound.
Elias,
Sensing the game, lunged from the pew in my form, tackling me to the altar. Fists flew, my own face bloodied under his, my nails. We rolled, grappling over the fob, cathedral echoing with screams. Give it back, you bitch, he snarled in my voice. I pinned him, knee to throat, whispering, you were always the weak one. The swap reversal code, Lydia's birthday, sobbed out in her confession, hovered on my lips. But as cops burst in, tasers crackling, I hesitated. End it now. Reclaim my life. Watch him rot in my skin for his crimes? Or let the world devour us both? Twisted together in the fallout, the cuffs bit into Elias's wrists, my wrists, as they dragged us both out. A tabloid tableau, brother and sister, or whatever we were, snarling like alley cats under the cathedral's shadow. Flashes popped like gunfire. Reporters shouting, Elias.
Dahlia.
Is it true about the affair? The tech. I kept his head high, that CEO swagger intact, while Elias in my body thrashed, shrieking obscenities that made the crowd gasp. She's the imposter. Check the DNA. But the fob was in my pocket, pulsing warm against my thigh, its secrets locked until I decided. Rikers was a downgrade from the Ritz. But for Elias Hale, it was apocalypse. They separated us, him to women's solitary, me to a private cell courtesy of a bent guard greased with a Rolex. Interrogation started at dawn, feds in cheap suits, probing the confession as corporate sabotage, the data dump as cyberterrorism. I stonewalled, spinning yarns of grief-induced breakdown, all while my lawyers, Elias's lawyers, filed injunctions.
Inside,
the plan churned, used the swap's leverage to flip the script, force a plea that buried him forever. Nights in that concrete box, I dreamed of the swap's origin. Dad's prototype wasn't just a toy, it was born in a DARPA black site. 2008 recession funding funneled through hail shells. Test subjects, homeless vets, their minds wiped for the elite's joyrides. Elias had beta tested it once, swapping with a Wall Street rival to steal trade secrets, then erased the man's consciousness for good. No reversal. That's the monster I wore now. His memories bleeding in, the thrill of violation, the God complex high. It made me sick, but useful. Passwords, grudges, The safe deposit box in Zurich holding the master codes. Lydia visited first, through plexiglass. Her face a ruin of Botox and bourbon. Swap back.
Dahlia. For me.
He's destroying everything. Destroying? She'd built this house of cards.
Card by card.
Tell me the full truth. Or I leak your love letters to Dad. The ones where you beg for more. She cracked. Spilling. Elias wasn't just hidden, he was engineered. Fertility clinic mix-up. Or so Victor claimed. But whispers of surrogacy scams. Embryos swapped to launder dirty money.
Me?
The natural daughter. But tainted by Lydia's jealousy, sabotaged opportunities. Whispers to nannies to neglect me. You were the threat, she admitted. Too much like him. Elias was moldable. Her words lit the fuse. I fed tips to ProPublica. Hale's fertility fraud ties. Shell companies posing as clinics preying on desperate couples. Stories broke. Victims' faces on CNN. IVF dreams shattered. Elias. Raging in my cell. Tried suicide by bedsheet. Guards found him blue-lipped. Ranting about soul thieves. The media spun it as guilt. Justice for Dahlia surging. I fanned it from isolation. Smuggled burner phones scripting tweets. My brother's secrets die with him. Or do they? Controversy peaked when I authorized as Elias the sale of Neuralink patents to a whistleblower NGO. Proceeds to victim funds. Board revolted. Suing for breach. But stocks rebounded on the ethical pivot PR spin. Gray area? Absolutely. Patents included kill switches for active swaps. Potentially frying brains across the globe. Thousands at risk. Levs in limbo. Protests outside Hale Tower. Save the swapped. Versus. Burn the tech. I watched from a safe house. My old body transferred to a private clinic under observation. Elias comatose from withdrawal, his mind rejecting my flesh like a bad transplant. The real play came mid-December. Snow blanketing the city like a shroud. I broke out, bribed guard, fake ID, and drove the Bentley upstate to the Hale family compound in the Catskills. Winterized mansion. Logs crackling in the great hall where Dad had hosted Thanksgiving charades. All smiles hiding the rot. Elias was there. Transferred post-attempt. Shackled to a four-poster in the master suite. My body. Frail now. Eyes hollow as he stirred at my approach. You look good in me, I said, locking the door. His laugh, my laugh, rasped wet. End it.
Sis.
Or bro. Whatever. The fob won't work twice without the core. Bluff or truth. I pressed it to his temple, my temple, the zap fizzling harmless. Dead battery. Or sabotage. Panic clawed. But his grin widened. Dad's failsafe. Only he knew. You're stuck. Dahlia. Forever Elias. The twist hit like a blizzard wind. Recordings on his phone. Auto-playing as I lunged. Dad's voice. Pre-death. If she takes the bait, let her. The swap's one way for her. Neural lock keyed to your DNA. She'll burn for us. Us, Victor and Elias. Plotting from the grave. The confession?
Bait.
To lure me into the device. Expose the text flaws publicly while Elias played victim. Inheriting untainted. I'd been the mistake all along, not the fall guy. But the erasure. Lydia's jealousy? Cover for grooming me as the sacrificial lamb. My crimes fabricated to make the swap believable. Rage boiled. Pure American fury, the kind that topples dynasties. I unchained him. Not for mercy.
But duel.
We fought through the house. my body against his mind and mine, fists and furniture shattering heirlooms. He was weaker, withdrawal gnawing, but vicious, clawing at his face. Screaming, "You're nothing without me," I countered with his own moves, memories guiding haymakers. We crashed into the study, Dad's portrait crashing down, glass splintering like trust. Climax in the snow. I dragged him outside, naked in my skin.
The cold, a white-hot brand.
Confess, I demanded, fob's husk in hand. On video. Or freeze. He spat blood, my blood, laughing maniacal. Post it. They'll think you're crazy. Dahlia Hale, the unhinged daughter, murdering her brother. But as hypothermia set in, shivering rants spilled. The swaps, the scams, the souls he'd stolen. I streamed it live to the dark web, anonymous, then to major outlets with a delay. Sirens wailed distant. I'd triggered the alarm in the fray. Elias lunged one last time, slipping on ice, skull cracking on stone steps. Dead before I checked pulse. My body, empty now, his consciousness fled with the cold, or trapped in limbo. The text curse. Cops found me, Elias Hale, huddled over the scene, grief-stricken by my suicide. Autopsy. Exposure. Self-inflicted wounds from delusions. The data dumps fall outraged. Congressional hearings. Hale empire nationalized. Victims compensated. I reclaimed the company remnants. A phoenix in stolen feathers. But the mirror mocked, his eyes staring back. Forever. Lydia? Committed. Raving of swaps and sins. I visited once. Her eyes pleading in the ward's fluorescent hell. Swap back, she whispered. I smiled his smile. There is no back. Power's price, a life half-lived. Souls swapped but scars eternal. Was it justice? Or just another Hale betrayal? You decide. Epilogue whispers in the quiet of boardrooms reclaimed. But revenge's echo never fades. It's the ghost in the machine. The shadow at the feast. Months after the Catskills carnage, I, Elias Hale, or the husk wearing his name, sat in the rebuilt Hale Tower. Glass walls etched with new slogans. Transparency. Legacy. Renewal. The merger with the Chinese firm? Scrapped. Replaced by green initiatives that scrub the Hudson clean. Irony thick as fog off the East River. Stock soared again. Analysts calling it the redemption arc of the decade. Redemption. If only they knew the devil driving the bus. Publicly, I mourned. Press conferences with that practiced gravitas. Tears on cue for 60 minutes. Losing Dahlia, my sister. My anchor shattered me. The tech, a father's folly will dismantle. Behind scenes, I hoarded the Neuralink remnants. Black market blueprints tucked in Cayman vaults. Not for sale, but study, cracking the reversal, or weaponizing it further. Elias's memories lingered like malware, his first kill swap. A competitor's mind erased over poker debts in Vegas, the thrill of Lydia's bed. Post-affair guilt twisted into dominance games. It fueled nightmares, but also edged deals closed with a stare that chilled rooms. The controversial decisions? They haunted headlines. That patent sale? Saved lives. Sure, hundreds of swapped, elites voluntarily reversed. Minds snapping back to original shells amid lawsuits and suicides. But Collateral, a Brooklyn artist. Low-level test subject. Fried in the pulse. Her consciousness lost to static. Protests branded me murderer. I countersued for defamation. 1. Donated winnings to her family. gray as the Hudson at dusk. Then the fertility expose. Clinic shuttered. Couples reimbursed. But whispers of my involvement, Elias's vendetta, sparked doxing, death threats scrawled on penthouse doors. I hired Pinkertons, old school muscle, and slept with a Glock under the pillow. Chicago girl instincts in Wall Street wolf's clothing. Twists reversal cut deepest in therapy, mandatory. Post-breakdown.
Dr.
Voss. A Park Avenue shrink with a poker face. Peeled layers. You speak of her, Dahlia, as if she's watching. She was in fragments. Elias's psyche hadn't fully vacated, echoes and dreams. His voice mocking. You think you won? Dad played us both. The recording I dismissed? Partial truth. Victor's failsafe wasn't just for me, it was mutual. The fob's core, hidden in the compound's panic room, held a virus, swap initiator for both, triggered by proximity to bloodkin. Elias's death? No accident. My tackle in the snow pressed us close enough. DNA ping. Neural overload. His mind didn't flee. It merged. A digital hydra. I wasn't possessing him. We were fused. Dahlia and Elias in one skull. Battling for the wheel. Proof came in blackouts. Deals I'd closed that sabotaged green projects. Elias's greed leaking through. A merger with an oil baron. Buried environmental clauses, woke sweating. His laughter in my ears. Controversial?
Catastrophic.
I torched it mid-signature. Boardroom walkout that cost millions. Painted as instability. Tabloids revived Hale horror. Is CEO Hale haunted by sister's ghost? Lydia's visits turned ritual. From the ward, she smuggled clues, scribbled on contraband napkins. Dad's journal. Pre-confession entries revealing the swap as punishment, not gift. Dahlia must learn the cost of weakness, he'd written. Elias, the fragile one, groomed to trigger it. His overdose on prom night deliberate, to frame me, test my loyalty. The accident? Orchestrated collision. Brakes tampered by his hand. I'd borne not just a fall, but a murder rap for fratricide in waiting. Betrayal's abyss. Family as cage. Love as lockpick. Climax redux brewed in spring. Cherry blossoms mocking the rot. A whistleblower. Exhale engineer. Conscience pricked by the dump, surfaced with the core. A neural chip. Palm-sized. Humming with potential. Meet in Central Park. Bethesda fountain. Tourists oblivious. I arrived early. His cologne, my cologne, clinging like sin. He handed it over. Eyes darting. This reverses everything.
But
it's keyed to intent. Pure motive. Or it backfires. Intent. Mine? Pure as driven snow? Elias surged in my veins. Take it. Rule forever. I palmed it. Walked the loop. Fountain spray cooling fevered thoughts. Flash to Dahlia's life. Scrape together joys. Dive bars in Wrigleyville. A cat named Shadow. Law briefs that mattered to underdogs. Versus this. Jets to Davos. Power lunches with senators who smelled of cigars and compromise. The merge whispered temptations, swap with a rival. Steal their empire, or broader. Mass sync to expose the 1%'s cheats. Decision at the mall, controversial core. I broadcast a pulse, not destructive, but revelatory. Every Neuralink user got a memory leak, flashes of their swaps. Victims' faces in their minds. Elites cracked, suicides in Bel Air. Confessions in boardrooms. Hale stock cratered. But Phoenix rose, I testified, voluntarily swapping public with a terminally ill vet, Mine's flipping for 20 minutes on live TV. Tears. Applause. Elias Hale. The man who gave back his soul. Ratings gold. But the vet's eyes post-swap. Haunted. My Elias echo bleeding through. Backfire hit private. The core. Implanted in a Zurich clinic. Rejected. Merge deepened. Dahlia's empathy warring Elias's cunning. Blackouts to full dissociates. I wrote letters. Anonymous. To Lydia. Forgiving the unforgivable. To the artist's family. Full restitution. But the final play? Donating the empire. Lock. Stock. To a trust for swap victims. Board fought. Lawsuits flew. But I won. Walking away with nothing but a Chicago apartment. My old Cubs tee folded in a drawer. Ending? Debatable as a jury hung. Am I free? Dahlia reclaimed in a borrowed shell. Or cursed? Elias's ghost my eternal plus one? Last dream? Dad's voice. You chose wrong.
Kid.
Or right. Fight on. I woke to rain on Lake Michigan windows. Fobs shattered on the floor. Power's illusion. Revenge's pyre. Burn it all. Or build from ash. The city's pulse says keep swinging. America doesn't end. It remixes.